start the recording now. Okay, so welcome to another edition of Featured Business, brought to you by your host, myself, James Moffat, and Visibility Impact. Today we have our 88th guest. Wow, is 88 a significant number, Isabella, for you?
Absolutely.
All right, because numbers actually mean a lot. And every time someone's had their number, they've said, wow, how did you pick that number for me? And I thought, well, it's kind of just the next one. And they said, oh, that's a significant one. So yeah, it just kind of, the magic works. So Isabella, I don't want to try and pronounce your name wrong. So maybe you can just say your name for us.
Oh, it's Isabella, just simple.
No, but you got Maria Bordoni.
Yeah, Isabella Maria Bordoni. That name was chosen by my Italian grandmother. She wanted to make sure that I keep my saints as well. So that's why she's given me Maria. Yeah, okay. So that's my name.
Right. So you have something in common with Pete, actually. So he's probably in transition at the moment from his car to his house, but he's his roots are Italian, and his part in the book is really with a focus on his roots being Italian. So, but we'll come on to that in a minute. So let's get going. So Emily is going to sing for us to kick things off. So Emily sings every week, or near enough. If not, she provides a recording, or I find something on her YouTube channel. And you still got to send me the link to Fly Me to the Moon, because we have a guest coming up that's all about space.
Okay.
Right? So I need that song since you can't make that one. So Emily, if you can just introduce your guest and yourself, and then the song you're going to sing, and then over to you.
Okay, so this is Joanne.
Hi. Hi. Have we met before?
No.
All right. Okay then.
I know. And he is a conga player, correct me if I'm wrong, conga player and a guitarist and a singer as well.
Excellent. Excellent. So you play a lot together?
Well, we're preparing for a concert, but this is the first time we're going to be playing together.
Oh, congratulations. So we'll give you some feedback so you can see if it's good for the concert.
Okay, that would be great.
Right. Okay then. So what song are you going to sing?
So we're going to sing a song called Vivir mi vida from
Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony.
All right. Okay. So the floor is yours.
All right.
Voy a bailar, vivir mi vida, la, 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 la. Voy a reír, voy a gozar, vivir mi vida, la, 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 la. La
Thank you.
Excellent.
So the
Congratulations.
song is Boyan is here, Boyan is here. It's yes.
That was really good. So for playing together, if that's your first time, that was excellent.
Thank you.
All right. So you mentioned a concert. What type of concert you're doing?
So it's mainly Spanish songs, but we're Spanish and English songs.
But you speak Spanish.
Not really, not very well.
You sing Spanish.
But when you sing in Spanish, you just remember the lyrics.
I mean, I'm reading the lyrics as I play, otherwise.
Oh, well, still I'm good. I'll just be on the first line if I was doing it.
And your name is Martinez. You should speak Spanish.
I should, you're right, I absolutely should.
A little bit of Portuguese as a flavor.
Yeah. So yeah, the concert is a live concert or in a
Yes,
pub or
he has a bar in Lausanne, so it's
okay.
in his bar on the, is it the 9th of July?
Nice.
Or,
Okay.
So that sounds like invitation to come to the bar.
Please do, please do.
Yeah.
Please come.
We'll surprise you one
Don't
day.
be shy, don't be
We'll all
shy.
turn up. Well, we will all fly in and turn up.
Oh, that would be so nice.
Yeah. All right. Have you got a link or something you could share?
I don't think so. We don't
Uh,
putting it online, right?
no, I mean about where it is and what you're doing.
About where it is. Yeah, well, once he's done the publicity, I'll send it to
All
you.
right. Okay. Yeah.
To me as well. It's cheap to fly to.
Yeah, actually, when you were singing it, it just got me thinking. I know it's not even it's a guitar, but I mean, the first thing I thought of was, you know, "Over the Rainbow" by the guy sang it with a banjo.
Such a nice song.
Yeah,
𝗓𝗘𝗔𝗥 or something.
yeah. I just think of that. So maybe that could be something else you do together.
Yeah, it's a really nice song.
Because the guitar, I mean, it reminded me of that. So it would be something that would be quite nice to sing together.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm full of ideas. All right. Okay. Well, I'll let you go. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
I guess it's warm there as well.
See you in the bar.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great weekend.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Right. And Laszlo, since you just joined, just let you quickly introduce yourself as well.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Isabella. We haven't met before. So nice to see you. I'm Laszlo, originally from Hungary. I am based in Geneva for 20 plus years now, and currently I'm in the middle of setting up my own company. But
You say that every week. You've been saying that for a year.
It's not happening by day. So yeah, notaires and banks and everything. So it takes some time. But anyway, so that's me. Nice to meet you.
Maybe Isabella can help you.
Setting up what?
His business.
I've done that.
Okay, so let's get started then. So Isabella, you are our 88th guest, so welcome.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to keep this fun and interactive. So we won't be singing anymore, no, unless Boyan wants to sing. Actually, Isabella, are you a singer?
No, not totally not.
Oh,
I only had to sing once in front of the class, and then the teacher told me, "Oh gosh, no," and then that was it.
oh yeah, we had that at school. We had that. If you wanted to be in the choir, you had to go, you had to do the scales. And I thought, as soon as I did the second note, I thought, all right, no, forget that, and go and do something else. I thought, oh, okay. So I'm a singer to the kids, but they like it. So it's a different audience, I
My
guess.
grandchildren tell me, "Oh gosh, you can't sing," so I stopped completely.
Yeah, we'll have to have some lessons from Emily. All right. So you are our 88th guest, so let's find out a bit about you. So we're going to take you down memory lane to start with. So a little bit backtracking from your childhood and then through some stories that you want to share with us on that way. and then kind of get to where you are now, what you're doing, and then learn more about your day-to-day business. So let's get started. So let's first of all find out where you are. So where are you living, and where are you originally from?
I'm living in Zurich now again. I grew up in Zurich, and my father and my mother caused a scandal in the family 70 years ago because he came from Italy to the Ticino, then to Zurich, and he met my mother, who was Protestant, growing up in Zurich, and they were not allowed to marry because there was still this fight. So that's my heritage. He had converts, so I'm possibly the only one with an Italian name who's a Protestant, because he had to convert to marry. And now I'm back in Zurich because we raised our children in 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥, which is a small remote village midst in the forest, just 15 minutes from here. And then since they're grown up, living their lives, I decided to move back, and I love it.
Right. So are you Italian speaking as well?
I grew up, my parents divorced when I was 1.5 years, so all my Italian family I have never seen again since then. I grew up with the parents of my mother. I am Italian speaking once I'm back in Italy, but not so much that it is like a second language to me, unfortunately. But I do understand nearly everything.
Yeah. It's a bit like Pete as well, because he was sharing that his roots are from Italy, but he doesn't speak Italian either. So yeah, my roots are Scottish, and I can speak Scottish, but you won't understand me.
No. No way. I am capable to understand quite some accents and dialects in English, but Scots, never. Impossible.
Yeah, it's funny. To help you practice, you should watch, on YouTube, there's 2 Scottish guys in an elevator, and there's a voice announcement elevator with American accent, and they're trying to go to floor 11, but it's all on voice recognition, and the lift or the elevator doesn't recognize their accent, so it doesn't let them do anything, so they get quite angry. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's so funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, you should just look up 11 or elevator 11 or Scottish 11 or something, and they'll say 11, and then they try to speak in an English accent and then American accent, and it's so funny. But we get the kids to practice. We've just come back from I think Boyan's sharing the link, so we've just come back from Scotland from a holiday, and the kids loved imitating the accents and stuff. But anyway, so accents are a lot, particularly in Switzerland, because you're living in Zurich and I'm in Bern. And I mean, there's a massive difference just between the dialects of the Swiss German speaking.
Yes, there is. Absolutely so. And, you know, since you live in Bern, you know that the people from Zurich with the Zurich dialect are not very much liked, even though we bring a lot of money to Brisson or Bern. Actually, we give a lot of money to Bern. Yes, but it is. That's what it is, and that's what is interesting. I love it. I do, because it shows how diversified Switzerland is.
Yeah, so if it's already challenges within the dialect, within the German-speaking part, then you've got the Italian part and the French part, and so on. And yeah, Laszlo, do you speak French?
Should.
Right.
A little bit, yeah, of course I do, but it's more like what they call the kitchen language, you know, not really professional, because all my life I lived in English, so it's yeah. I mean,
I speak 5 words in French.
Oh, that's good.
But
Good for the start, yes.
Yes.
But day to day, you can get by in English in Geneva.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
the problem, because you're not really forced, you know, I mean, you're not really forced to learn, and it's very international here. I mean, I think 40% population of Geneva are foreigners, so it's English is the common language.
So how long have you been in Geneva? Just digressing.
22, 3, 4, something.
Wow.
Like that.
Yeah, I'm terrible. So my Swiss German sucks, right? even my German sucks, let alone Swiss German. Right, so my kids are always correcting me or talking that I have no idea what they're talking about.
Mm.
I mean, it's a secret language. So languages, a small country, I mean, it's quite a challenge in Switzerland. And then you know when someone's from the Bern region or the Zurich region or the Basel region and so on, just by the way they pronounce things.
And interestingly, I hear and see quite often that even Swiss people, let's say the French, the German, they talk to each other in English, because that's English now. It's widely learned and spoken. So even though they have the Geneva students, they have to learn German and the other way around. But more often they find it easier to communicate in English because it's it's fun, they enjoy it, they like it better than the other. So yeah, it's interesting.
It is. So Isabella, growing up, then you learn German or Swiss German. You spoke, but you learned High German at school, and then it was French after that.
Yeah, that's what you do. I mean, because we want to make sure that we at least know the languages of Switzerland.
But you didn't get a choice. You don't get the choice of French or Italian, or is it?
Depends what you do. I mean, you start with French, and now, of course, everything has changed because I mean, that's decades ago. Now they can choose, and it's English coming in more and more. But 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, the diplomatic language was French. So that was also another issue why you had to learn French, besides being the language of Switzerland. Of course. So
your English is excellent, actually. All right. So did you learn that at school, or are you well traveled?
No, at school, the teacher was so mean to me and told me, "You'll never learn a language." And then I thought, yeah, sorry, maybe I should show you. And then 76 until 77, I spent a year and a half in England and started to learn the English language, which I've completely forgotten now because the US would never understand me. So I had to get to some level of language of English, which would allow me to talk to everybody somehow, to be understandable. And so I learned the posh Oxford English. And I stayed there and I finished with the proficiency. I was going over there as an au pair, and I signed up for the wrong course because I wanted to go back after 3 months for just have the first certificate. And then I figured out, after I understood some of English, that I signed up for the wrong course and I would have to stay longer. And that's what I did. And then I never wanted to leave again because I fell in love with it, with the British or the Scottish, or just because, the dry humor, the way they see life, and I wanted to stay. And I have an English driving license, still valid. And they threw me out because Switzerland is and was not in the EC or EU.
Yes, your accent, I mean, your English is very good. I mean, if you compare it, even when we go back and I take the kids back and stuff, because their English is kind of neutral, when they go back to England and the kids speak with accent, so they actually speak better English than a lot of the English.
Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, it's kind of a myth. I mean, because I worked a lot in Cambridge, and so they say Oxford and Cambridge, I mean, you should speak the best English. But maybe if you go to the universities and you study, but in general, people that live in Oxford and Cambridge aren't always the best speakers either. So yeah, it depends as well. So
yeah, well, I ended up in a posh family. So there was always the fight between Cambridge and Oxford because he studied in Oxford and she studied in Cambridge. And I was just laughing. But I was lucky because I really had this very high-level Oxford English, and I sort of very proud when people would ask me, and that's gone somehow.
Yeah, no, but I mean, your English is beautiful. So I guess I looked at old classic England in kind of the 60s. I mean, I liked the cars. I liked everything about kind of that era. it was kind of the classic, what you remember. And then going back now, it's kind of everything's in, well, I wouldn't say everything, but it's kind of disrepair in comparison. And all the good things that I liked about it aren't there anymore. But anyway, we digress. So growing up as a child, I mean, have you got any siblings?
I have siblings, but you know, I mean, remember, I'm 65 and the times were different at the time. So when a mother wanted to divorce, the children were taken away, whether she wanted it or not. So because I was only a year and a half old, I was, my grandmother took me, and the other ones had to go to children's home. And no, sadly enough, we never had a great amount of contact. I grew up completely differently, and I feel really blessed that my grandmother took me in. And I just had attended the funeral of one of my brothers. There are 2 brothers and 1 sister. And I realized, look, even looking at the photo, I can't connect. I have no connection. And that's the thing. It's the people you have and are surrounded with. It's not your family in the end. That's how I grew up. And I am very Swiss German. Except when it comes to private life, I'm very Italian.
Right. Anyway, you don't look 65, so congratulations on that. I mean, yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
And also condolences to your siblings, some of them.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's not easy kind of growing up. And I mean, we've had lots of guests that had pretty tough upbringings and childhoods and everything. So, you know, we'll kind of move on from that. I don't want to kind of dwell into that, but we want to learn more about kind of your journey through life. So growing up you spent a lot of time in Italy as a child, or mainly?
No, only Zurich. They lived in Zurich, and I grew up in Zurich. And my grandfather, he is from Zurich. He was from Zurich.
Ah, all right. Okay.
From the old part of Zurich. So I grew up in Zurich. I went to school in Zurich. Then I moved away from my studies, and then I went to England in 1976, 77. I returned. I fell in love, got married rather young, and
but when you got married, was it a Swiss guy?
Oh,
Swiss
yeah.
guy?
Actually, I nearly would have ended up in Ottawa, but my grandmother was already 90 by then, and she didn't want to come. So I dropped that relationship in favor for her, because I mean, she really has given me the life and the love I needed, and the liberty to do not what I want, but what I was meant to do, and supported me all the way along. So I could not. And then I got married to a real Swiss. And we built a family together, yes.
So children, so what have you got?
Okay, I have a daughter, 38, next month. I have a son, 34. And I was married for 25 years until I was turned 50. And then I looked around and I realized it's sort of not what I want anymore. But we had long discussions before, and then I sort of filed for divorce. And then that's when my life fell apart. Before it was, we really had a happy life and a good, in an extremely amazing environment, a small village where the children could go out, play in the forest, meet their friends. We had lots of friends in the village. And somehow we, when the children grow up to a certain age and they turn 16 or 18, you have to figure out the next parts and stage of your life. And I realized for myself that I can't continue like this for another 30 years. And the husband of mine and the father of my children did not want to move because he felt he was comfortable as it was. And that's when we reached a dead end. And then out of sudden, everything fell sort of in actually pieces. Everything, just out of the blue.
Right. So do you keep in touch now Or, I mean, did you part amicably or?
With my husband? Well, I'm honest, and he knows that. Even when he sees this, he knows I could have killed him on a daily basis for at least 5 or 6 years. And my children were sort of negatively, well, they didn't think it was a good way to do, because I was so angry, because the way he left me with a burden which I had not recognized before, and I was really angry. And in the meantime, you know, you evolve in life. I did so many things, and I started to accept, because I was part of it. There is not always one, there are always two in it. And I could have changed many things before during our marriage. I could have said more often no to many things, which I didn't. So I went along. And now we're good friends, and that's what my children don't understand, why we are not coming together again. Because whenever we see each other, there is a lot of talk, there is a lot of laughing. But the thing is, we have grown so much apart that it is impossible, because I live my life and he lives his life. And unfortunately, some people change and some others don't.
Right. So did either of you go off and find other partners?
Yeah, he did, many.
Okay. Yeah, I probably do the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that, I mean, grown up, I mean, with the children, I mean, do they still live in around Zurich area, or have they gone further afield?
My daughter, she during the divorce, she was studying in Geneva, and she moved back to Zurich. I mean, everything is 15 years ago, so in the meantime, a lot has changed. So she moved back to Zurich, felt unhappy in Zurich, and now has moved to Val. And my son lived with me during his medical study, and then moved out, then fell in love quickly, and I'm happy to have this amazing daughter-in-law and 3 grandchildren now, and he lives nearby. He lives at the side of the Lake of Zurich, and I'm living near 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥, which is about, I can walk to the lake, so just living like 10 minutes apart.
You're not on the Golden Coast?
Actually, yes.
You are on the Golden Coast. Right.
Well, it's not to brag, because the Golden Coast means only that we have more sun than the shady coast.
I thought it's because you're with all the rich elite, you see.
No, they're humble people, hard-working people. But the Golden Coast really has to do with we have so much more sun. That's what it is.
So you live opposite Federer?
Opposite whom? Federer? No, Federer lives up at the end of the lake.
But didn't he? I thought he moved. I thought he moved to the
Yeah, he moved to the end to Rapperswil. He bought
he's got many.
A large place there because it's less taxes. I live in Zurich. I pay high taxes.
Okay. And Laszlo, do you live on the Golden Coast of Lake Geneva?
I live in the Golden Coast of River Rhône, which is probably 30-40 meters from our place, but it's far from the lake.
Yeah, I live on the Golden Coast of Bern.
In the Golden Coast of Bulgaria.
Oh yeah, exactly. So tell us a bit about your childhood then. I mean, the things that kind of you liked growing up. I mean, a lot of people kind of share similar stories. I mean, you like nature, you like being outside, and tell us a bit more about your childhood.
My childhood, it was very good because there were no mobile phones. Nobody knew where I was, with whom, and it was a rather restrictive childhood when it came to how you have to behave, because you remember Zurich is Protestant. So I had to sit at the table, I had to behave nicely, I had to go to Sunday school, I had to follow the rules. And anytime I didn't have to follow the rules, I felt free, and I was surrounded by children. I was, because I lived with my grandparents, they couldn't go skiing with me, so I had families taking me for vacation. That was good, but the thing is, you feel a bit different, and that's what I realized when we had a class reunion. You know, you don't realize this as a child, but when you have a class reunion and then you meet again when each and everybody has turned around 40, then you realize I was living in a place which was called for the poor people. And living with your grandparents is not the same as when you live with your parents, because there is no interaction between families. And this is what I realized, that I was always a sort of an outsider. And only when I went to England, I realized that I could do more than what was possible for me at the time when I was at school, because I didn't have many friends at school. Looking back, I realized why I didn't have many friends at school. And I didn't like school very much because I got bored so quickly. So I used my time to read books. I was in the library. Possibly from the moment I could read, I could go to all the other parts in the library to pick out books, even though they were not age compatible, but I was allowed to do it. I loved that. I supported elderly people because I went shopping for them. And that was sort of my childhood. I turned crazy when I turned 16.
Yeah. So what kind of books were you reading at that age?
Different books, children's books, then 𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛, of course, then historian books, then 𝗦𝗘𝗘𝗔𝗥, whatever that was. I was just going through the library and checking out what is of interest, and I started to read. So I filled my head.
Yeah. So you mentioned about helping people going shopping. So what was that about?
What?
I mean,
Sorry?
You just like saw someone shop and said, can I come and help you? Or it was kind of a program, or you volunteered?
No.
Or
This is what I learned from my grandmother. She was always there to help other people. So she would say, look, this neighbor, she's just sick. Could you just go and ring at the door and ask if she needs something? Maybe, you know, you could go and buy some milk or cheese or whatever. So she gave me these hints to, when I was a bit bored at home, she would say, why don't you go there? And that's what I would do. So it was initiated by my grandmother. She would say, look, just go and ask. And that's what I started doing. And because I also earned my own pocket money by distributing newspapers. And that was also because my grandmother told me, look, instead of just sitting around here, that was when I was about 10 or 12. Why don't you go? I know Mrs. A and she needs help. Why don't you just go and ask? So Wednesday afternoons, I would go with her and then earn like 2 francs, which is a lot of money at the time.
So your grandma was a big influence in your life then?
My biggest.
Yeah, and was she the mother of your mother or your father?
She was the mother of my mother.
All right. All right. So she really kind of was a lifesaver in a way.
She was my lifesaver. She has given me all this giving and serving mentality, because even she would cook for let's say a lot, and then she would go to the neighbors and give them some food just because she felt she has to do it. Or once in a while she would tell me, now go to the florist and buy 10 bouquets of flowers and bring it to ABCD. And that's what I had to do, and see the faces, how they were joyous and happy because they received them. And that's how I grew up. It was not you take, it was actually more you give and you see the pleasure in other people's eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just curious, I'm just kind of reading some of the notes that I've made earlier and in the questionnaire. And tell us about, I mean, you've got a story, I'd like to know more about it, that you ended up in London and you became homeless. So I'm just curious more about kind of this story. What made you go to London? And was this part of kind of going to Oxford and that at the time, or was this later?
That was much later. And I was homeless in the moment. I was not homeless for months. But the thing is, I signed up. I always had this, it's 4 years ago. I signed up for 45 days on stage because I had this fear of public speaking. And I thought, you know what, I have to get over this because otherwise I can never talk in front of anyone. And then I landed Heathrow, was happy to go to the place I booked and went to Marks and Spencer's, bought some nice food because I had seen myself, you know, I relax there and I have my food and don't go out anymore. And 8 o'clock, my room got cancelled. And it was a 4-day event and it was 8 o'clock. And I said, can't be. I phoned them up and said, it's impossible, you can't cancel, look, what am I going to do? And then as I'm the Italian, I just walked into a pub and said, just look, my room got cancelled, could you just please tell me where the next hotel is? So they said, yeah, just walk down the road and you'll find one. That's what I did. Long story short, it was a bank holiday. It was an international box championship. London was booked out. It was booked out.
So what year was this?
It was 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, right. Okay. So quite recently.
Yeah, but it was booked out. And I didn't have the money to stay at the Ritz. Possibly that was booked out too. I mean, we have our sort of limitations. So I walked and walked and walked. I tried and tried and tried. And I finally ended up at Ibis. And they said, look, we only have a room for a night. I said, oh, gosh, at least a room for the night. And I think it was about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And I got to the room and then I went down because I had to stay another 3 nights. And I mean, I was home, you know, there was no place to go. So it took me more than an hour and a half until I found another room, which I could afford, and thought, that's done it. I'm done, fine. So the other day I had to leave, went to the event, spoken to people, and there was another Swiss-German woman. I said, you guess what? You don't know, you can't believe what happened to me. And so we exchanged phone numbers. And then there was a cocktail. I said, I'm not going to this cocktail. I want to make sure I have my room. So I went again, ended up at the hairdresser because that was the address to pick up the key because it was an Airbnb at the time. And he said, what are you doing here? I said, hey, listen, this is my room. I booked from here until Tuesday. That's it. And he sat down and said, no, can't be because it's not. It's impossible. It's not. It's occupied. And I was sitting on the chair at the hairdresser and felt, can't be. I mean, what am I going to do? I can't sleep on the streets. So the only thing I did, I thought, if somebody can help me, a no is a no, a yes is a yes. So I picked up the phone number. I called the lady whom I met at the event. I said, guess what happens? I'm sitting on my suitcase and I have no room to go. And she graciously said, oh gosh, dear, did you check all the others? I said, I did what I did. I already checked yesterday. There is nothing I can afford, nothing. So she said, okay, come, take a Uber, come and we shared the room together. But I was actually, that was so devastating. And my question was, would you have persevered? Or I could have, you know, the first night, I mean, I could have booked a flight back. But I felt I need to be at this event, which then became my pitch, which then resulted in my professional coaching business.
So you did find somewhere to stay?
I did find somewhere to stay, but I had like 2 hours where I figured out, what am I going to do? Am I going to sleep in this park, or I'm going to be to a pub and stay there until they close? Or what am I going to do? And this happened twice. And even the other one, she left a day earlier, but then of course it was easy because it was Tuesday. So
yeah,
and holiday was over, championship.
Yeah. And you were on your way to a kind of a speaking event?
Yeah, and I had to give a pitch. So I made this my pitch.
All right. So did you have a pitch in mind before you went?
No.
So you kind of created the pitch because of the situation. And then,
yeah.
I mean, so this was a public speaking event and
Yeah.
you were one of the speakers and
Yeah.
you had gone to London to speak at a 4-day event.
Yeah.
And I mean, was there a certain topic and reason?
No.
And I mean, what was the event?
The event was actually to show you, to sell you a course to 40 days on stage. So after 45 days, you would end up being able to talk on stage freely and interacting with the audience and everything. And the pitch was because there were 100 people chosen for a pitch.
Okay.
And I didn't go to London because I wanted to pitch, but then I thought, you know, what's this story? I'm sorry, but this story I have to tell, because most people I know would not have called that person you just met and spoke about half an hour, and they would have left and possibly, I don't know, but I wanted to stay there. So thanks to the angels, universe, you name it, they put me in a situation where they actually double checked if I would stay and do what I intended to do, or if I would just go back to Heathrow, check in, say, okay, good thing.
Okay, so this was your first experience of public speaking?
I had some before, but actually I never did. I always squeezed out.
Okay, and how long did you have on stage, and what was how many people in the audience?
They were all business entrepreneurs. These were all entrepreneurs, and about 150. And I thought, can't happen. I'm doing this. That's crazy. Me. And I did. It was, I actually tried the speech in my bathroom with my mobile phone the night before, you know, stopping the time because it was limited to 1 minute and 1 minute 30 because it was a pitch, the elevator pitch, you know, it's not longer than that. So I did training and I went to bed and said, oh gosh, I only hope I can do that, which I did, of course, yeah. But that was the story, because otherwise...
Yeah. So how was that received by the audience?
Very well. I was sort of put down. I'm going to the restroom, have a cup of coffee. That's my day. Done it all, came out. And 2 ladies were standing there. And I said, oh, that was amazing. I said, yeah, well, that's what you do, don't you? And then they kept asking me and said, why do you do this? Why do you have this power of not giving up? Why do you just continue even all the odds are against you? I said, I just had to. I had to. I didn't know. I knew somewhere, and even if I had to sleep on a bench, that would have been fine. Or I would have taken a seat in the lobby in a hotel with 24 hours service, whatever.
What time of year was it?
It was April, rather cold.
All right, so a bit cold to sleep on a park bench.
Yeah. Yes. So they asked me to coach them. They said, "What is your secret?" And I said, "No." It was just a pitch, and so they asked me to coach. Yeah.
Your secret was being honest.
Yeah, possibly. But on the other night, you know, that thereafter, this was held in a luxury 5-star hotel in London, and we had a coffee break, and I went out for the coffee break, and there was a homeless, actually, really, honestly, homeless person just passing by begging for some money. And I thought, gosh, I could have ended up, not forever, of course, but for a night or two like this. So I invited the person for coffee, and that's not to brag. I thought, you know what, I have to do this now. I really have to do it. And he was joking. He said, you know what, you can be so happy that you found a place because it was rather cold outside. So we had a meal together, which was really nice. And then I felt, you know, whatever I had to learn here, I learned 2 things. You don't give up, but you're also humble and grateful for what you have.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, with the nurturing and growing up with your grandma, she's obviously helped you realize kind of some of the gifts that you have, right, with helping people and helping like neighbors with their shopping and stuff. And now, I mean, being in a position to kind of experience that, where am I going to sleep for the night? And then actually realizing that when you actually see some homeless person and doing something, it's kind of, a gift that you've got is to share and to show that empathy and compassion for others. So tell us a bit, I mean, just want to kind of get into your business. So going back a little bit, just to go through some of the careers that, or the jobs that you've had in your career, and then was it a turning point, which probably could have been maybe the divorce or something, but you share that with us, how the turning point and kind of where you ended up getting to be kind of this entrepreneur and now running your own business, and why particularly that business. So there's kind of a number of questions within that.
Okay, well, I always was coaching others, which came naturally to me, because, you know, whenever there was an issue with someone, they would bring the person to me and in my office and say, could you just help? That was natural. I had I started in the hotel business, and I was a housekeeper at the time then, and at a very young age, and I had to look after the guests, I had to look after my team. Even then you had many situations where you had to help and support and be whatever there was. There was no book telling what you have to do. You had to act from the heart, or just with the situation. Then I got married, and I was a happy mother for 10 years. I stayed home. I've done some little jobs, but I really loved to be a mother and enjoyed it very much. Possibly because I didn't have my own mother at the time, and I have given myself a vow I never give up on my children. And then the ex-husband of mine started a new business, and he sort of fell apart with the investors or the team he built, and he asked me to participate. And this is when I started to go back to business. I even had to ask someone, where do I actually start a computer, because I didn't know. Time has evolved, so I was sort of really starting from bottom. And then we started this business from scratch, which was a distribution business, and it sort of was never so secure. So I felt, you know what, I have to do something by myself, and I gained a low-level job at 𝗬𝗢𝗪𝗧, the military department, at the airport of Dübendorf, and I moved up there quickly. So I ended up in a leading position. And then I changed to become assistant of president in a cosmetics company, and that's where it all changed. Because out of a sudden I realized, oh, I could do more. There are females, I can support them. And that was the time, a year after, when my life crashed. When the divorce came, when I had to liquidate the company that the husband of mine and me owned. He couldn't deal with it. It was too much for him. And I see this now, and I had to take over debts. I lost a job at a cosmetics company. And then I started my own journey. And while I was in the cosmetics company, because they forced me to work there another 3 months, I felt I can't be with this ignorance who stabbed me in the back just because of, I don't know, now I know it's jealousy. But the thing is, and then I decided I can't have lunch with them. I have to get out. So I went to the elderly home in 𝗬𝗪𝗪 and asked if I could have lunch with somebody who is really lonely, having lunch all the time, each and every day, only by himself. So they said, come back tomorrow, and I did. Because no matter how deep in SHIT I am, I can always love. It's something I'm born with, and something I'm going to die with. So I thought, you know what, I can make somebody at least happy if I'm in this situation, and it takes me away. And guess what? This 84 or 87-year-old man, dressed meticulously, beautifully, has been the one giving me the hints and starting my journey. I name it of spirituality. He gave me the books. He spoke about yoga, the other yoga, not the yoga we practice now. And that's where my journey started. And then I realized that raising my family, working double hours, like 200%. And like, you know, to keep what we had a large house, a family, a vacation house. I mean, I had everything people are working for. With all this, I lost my personality. I lost myself. And so with a lot of tears, and really a lot of tears, I started my journey with this man. And I have to be thankful again to my grandmother, because whenever there was something, she would look out to help someone. And this is what I obviously have just had at the time coming up again. And that was the life changer. That was the life changer number one. I really changed from the moment. I have done so many things and I evolved from there. And then the other thing is, I got bullied as a vice CEO, and that was the last straw. I said, that's it. I'm gone out. If they don't see me, see my quality, I'm done with all this. And that's when I started my business. Actually, I traveled for 3 months and I let it all go. And I had to figure out, I've seen people I haven't seen for 40 years. I traveled to Bali. I took the invitation to Java from a friend of mine who always wanted me to come. And that changed my perspective. But the two women after my pitch in London, these were the two women who started my professional coaching business. That was it.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride. So, I mean, once again, kind of your grandma has taught you some good lessons and inspired you and helped you, but then also meeting, I mean, this elderly gentleman that's also was another turning point in your life. I'm just curious also about your children. I mean, do you get the support from them now? I mean, is it a close family connection that you have with your kids?
Yes, the thing is, we are very close, but I have educated them that they do not have to look out for me in a way that they are responsible for me. And having had a mother like I had, I wanted to make sure that I teach them differently. I teach them like my grandmother taught me or taught me, and that's what it is. You always find there is always another day. I mean, look, 15 years ago, I was sitting at my desk and I was still showing a nice, happy face outside. And when I was by myself and my son at his studies, I was crying my tears because I didn't know how to pay it all. And there is always another day. And that's what I tell my children. There's always another day, and you can be successful and happy, but you always have to stay humble and grateful. And we love each other, but we give space. They live just 5 minutes. My son lived 5 minutes. They moved now with his family. My daughter-in-law, just 5 minutes walking distance. I would never go there and just pop in and say, here I am, because I think they're gifts. I love them to the moon and back, and really, I do. I love my grandchildren. We look out for each other. Of course we do. But the thing is, they're not our parents. I am the parent. And I want them to see that they can live the life they want to live without too much worrying or bothering about me. And I want to be an example for that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not easy. So just going back, I mean, your grandma, is she still around now?
She died with 1984. She was 90 at the time.
Right. And when you mentioned, you always mentioned your grandma, was it just your grandma or was it your grandma and granddad?
It was my grandmother and my grandfather, but my grandfather was, I liked him very much, but he was very sort of strict, and he had his own view of life, and he always told my grandmother that when he's gone that I would leave and she would be left alone, and she made sort of a mistake, even though he loved me a lot, of course. But I mean, remember, he was already 72 and she was 61 at the time they took me in, and I was only a year and a half. So that's the time where you spend time off your family, and they took me in, which was a great responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions I'd like to ask going back there, but I mean, we need to kind of move forward. And I encourage people and any listeners that if they want to know more about you, then to connect with you, and then you can share more in depth about these stories. So just moving forward, so you've experienced a lot. I mean, you've had your own business, the business was liquidated. I mean, I could ask more questions about that, but I mean, just kind of fast forwarding this a bit, and then you've experienced the corporate world, you've experienced lots of different types of jobs. So what made you decide that kind of, I want to do my own thing, I want to kind of be this entrepreneur? I know you mentioned kind of what you did in London with the public speaking, and what was it? Because I know from what you've told us that you like sharing, you like giving, you like to help people. So what was kind of that moment that you said, I'm going to do this, and what is it that you're actually doing now?
Well, I decided when I was 62, and I had this struggle with me being a vice CEO and stabbed from behind. I decided, okay, what am I going to do with the next 30 years of my life? And that's when I decided now I'm going fully into this coaching business. And I did with 𝗪𝗘𝗘𝗞 the RT&T training, live training in London, because I never offer something I have not experienced by myself. And when I was in London and doing all this like a student again, and you know, you have to do the exams and then you have to do the assessments and everything, like back 40 years ago, I realized how it changed me. And that's when I decided that's what I'm going to do, like 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧 until 91, because I love it. I do help professional women, females, to gain inner confidence and to get out of narcissistic relationships and change their fears into positivity by using RT&T and my coaching. And I've seen so many clients now, females who are so beautiful outside, but are not seen in the world, in the corporate world, because they're not allowed to talk. Whatever they say is of nonsense, it's not important. They're in the wrong relationships, or they have digestive issues, or they have panic attacks. Guess what? That's why I love it so much. They are here, I talk to them, we do the session, I coach them, and whatever they write me is like more than whatever you can feel in happiness, because I got promoted, I can speak publicly, and you know what, I can talk to my mother and it's all good, and no, I can go out and travel and I get respected, I feel powerful, I got out of this narcissistic relationship I was in for 7 years, and now I'm happy, and I can be myself even within my family, because even though they don't like me because I'm not a lady, but rather the sporty type, I am whom I am, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I love it. So you mentioned earlier that when you were in London and you kind of met these other two ladies, like after the kind of the public speaking, and they thought, wow, they kind of want some coaching from you, but you didn't have a program and you were kind of on your entrepreneurial journey as well. So was that also kind of a aha moment in a way that, yeah, if people are asking me already just from sharing kind of a snippet of a story, then maybe there's something there that I need to bring out. And did that also attribute to kind of why you wanted to focus particularly on women?
Yeah, because it's not, you know, I love men, I really do, but I do see, and I have seen in my 42 years in corporate world, in management positions, not in our own company, but I do see the struggle we still have, because I was always head through the wall, you know, and there was no, it was impossible. But I had to lose myself to get to the position. I had to become tough. I was never mean. I was always honest. I'm honest. I tell what I'm authentic. I don't change just because I'm going into a sitting room or the CEO of whatever company is sitting across me. But the thing is, I had to become so male in my energy to make it, to be seen, to be visible, to be heard, that I realized I really don't want to have women to go through the same journey and have the same failures as I did, because then of course you get bullied, you have people who are jealous, whatever it is, what they see in you, which you had to acquire to get there. I don't want them to have this, and that's why I concentrate on females, because I think I've done enough mistakes. I can prevent them.
So these two ladies that you met at the event, I mean, did they become clients?
Yes, they did become clients. They're still on my website. One talks about the event, and guess what? My email address is so long. I thought, okay, good. I'm giving them my email address. It's so long, I never hear a word of them. And when I return back to Zurich, what did I have? 2 emails. Could you please just coach us? And that's when I took my mobile phone, my German Shepherd, and we walked in the forest near Zurich. And I walked and I figured out, oh yes, it was the man 84 with whom I had lunch for 3 months every day during working days, who started my journey. And because I love pearls, that was the first pearl, and then the second, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and what helped me there. And then I had my 9 weeks program. So I started with them.
Yeah, so when they said they wanted to be coached by you, and you're thinking, I have to put some program together, although you were learning coaching at the same time. And then with this 84-year-old gentleman as well, I mean, what was his background? I mean, was he a coach or something before, or?
No, he was, that's what I realize now, he was highly spiritual, but he worked as a clockmaker.
Yeah, I find that, I resonate more with people that have gone through kind of this roller coaster ride, and they kind of found themselves on that journey. And then it's about sharing their experiences and also what they've gathered from the various different people on that journey to create it's a kind of a personalized program. All right, you can learn kind of the fundamentals and a strategy and from a coaching course, but at the end of the day, you've got to kind of personalize it with, well, what can I add that's me in there? And I think this is what you've done. You've grabbed things from your grandma, from your upbringing, from the people you've met on the journey, from people you've spoken to, from this 84-year-old gentleman, from the 2 ladies that wanted you to coach, and you kind of you've captured that in a way that you've brought out the essence and the gifts that you have in how you can help others on their journey.
Yes, I did, and I went to the monastery. I have done quantum healing. I have done so many things because it was
quantum healing.
Yeah, it was one after the other after the other. I've done Zen, meditation, everything. And when I was in the monastery for this 1 week, Ibiza there is one, now it's popular all over the world because of Instagram. I actually told my children I'm never becoming a nun, because this bed was so narrow and the food was so little, and I said, look, that's fine, the shower you could, I mean, I'm slim, but I could barely turn, and the cross there, I said, no, never in my life. But I have done so many things, but the thing is, you know what, I never had to look for them, because from this gentleman came a book which amazed me, which then led to something else, which then led to something else. And that's why I'm saying, because I love pearls, and that's what I tell my female clients, you start your journey with the first, and then you add on and on and on and on, and you outlive your mentor, you outlive your coach. You don't stay there. I always tell them, I'm not your guru. I'm not. You do this with me, and I empower you, and I liberate you, and then I tell you how to walk by yourself. And then whatever is of interest is right in front of you. You only have to pick it up, and you have to take the chance. And now I have the closure of my pearl necklace, and it's not done, but at least the majority is done. And look, I thought when I was in this place of despair, lonely, I had no friends anymore, because that's Switzerland. When you divorce in a village, then you're gone, because you could be a threat to the husbands or whatever it is. I have no clue, because I would never be like that. I just realized that there was none I had until I actually did go and have lunch with this person. And then I told myself, you know, when this strong, powerful, highly or well-educated women or see that that you can fail and you can get up again and lead a happy life, then maybe that's what I have to do. Show them, look, that's happened to me, but no worries, you just get back. So that's my mission until I'm 92. Yeah. Maybe longer.
Exactly. So you mentioned there's another kind of 30 years to go. So you don't believe in, I mean, you mentioned also you're 65, which I find hard to believe, but I mean, so you've already retired effectively, but you're not retiring from work.
No.
Which you're not actually calling work, because if you're doing something with passion and that you love doing, then it's not work really. It's like you're carrying on giving and sharing your expertise and experience with others and guiding them on their journey.
Yeah.
So why would you want to? It's kind of the 𝗘𝗢𝗨𝗥 philosophy. I mean, you're not going to give up and retire when you're doing something you love. Why would I stop doing things I love?
No, you don't, because you know.
Exactly.
I mean, my grandmother, when she turned 90, she was always by herself, really giving, but she would never talk about others negatively. And on her birthday, this is something I never forget. She would take me to the window and say, look, there's old people out there. I said, old people out there? What do you mean? They're 80, you're 90. I said, yes, but they are old. And she kept going and going, and that's what kept her alive. That's what, she didn't have Alzheimer's, nor had she dementia. She was whom she was. And I mean, she was happy till the last day, and she decided she didn't want to live here anymore because she was tired. And once you give up your passion, what is left then?
Yeah, I can completely.
Whatever. I don't want this. I want to, first of all, I'm passionate. Second of all, I'm too young to retire, and I don't want to have age crawl into my bones. Never. Yeah,
that's the thing is, I mean, my mum's believed in that as well. I mean, keep herself active. I mean, she's 83 now, but she's kept herself active. I mean, although she doesn't work, I mean, she has lots of different hobbies and activities and social events and everything else that she's busy every day. I wonder how she's more busy now, not working, but doing things that she loves. And she says that keeps her young, because otherwise you can just sit and vegetate and think, well, my time is kind of up. And yeah, I always look at kind of the three fundamental phases in life. As a child, you ask, well, what will I be when I grow up? When you're kind of through midlife, you say, what's it all about? And then when you've retired, you say, well, what's next? And it doesn't mean that there's a right or a wrong time. Maybe you don't have the answers when you're a child or even in midlife, but at some point you'll find the answers if you're looking for them. And
if you're looking for them, yes, if you're looking for them, and if you take, you know, there is, the coin always has two sides. It's you deciding. It's you deciding which side of the coin you want to have. You can say, oh, gosh, this happened to me. Oh, I'm laying in bed. Oh, whatever, the world is so bad and nasty and people are nasty. Or you could do what I tell people. look out for the least positive and focus on it and let it grow, because that changes. And I think, you know, we all have the choices, and we also have to live with our choices.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we connected on LinkedIn because I don't know if it was a post that we both commented on and we resonated with each other's, and that's how we connected. But this is a good way to kind of find people as well. I wasn't looking out for you and you weren't looking out for me. We just kind of came together. It was kind of that, what's the word called? Not a coincidental, serendipity. I mean, where you meet because it was meant to be.
Yes.
And I think in life, there's no such thing as coincidence. It was meant to be. And if you're looking for something, you'll find it. You just need to be looking in the right places. Mm-hmm. And also get a little bit of help on the journey, because none of us have all the answers. And I mean, you've extracted, or well, not extracted, I mean, you've been given help from numerous different people, and it served you well. And likewise, you're doing the same back in whatever you're offering, because people need that help. We don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers, but we can help guide people to find their answers for themselves.
Yes, and yes, I say, you know, asking for help is not weakness. Actually, that's strength.
It is, because it's too easy to be humble and think, oh, I'm not going to ask for help. But I mean, then inside you're burning up. You're feeling terrible, and you put on that happy smiley face, but inside it's destroying you because you're too humble to ask. And sometimes you need that, because there's so many people that want to give, and also give for nothing. I mean, give because they want to give, not because there's a financial reward involved, because they have the passion for helping one another. And I'm not saying you have to do that all the time, because we still have to pay the bills and all of that. But I mean, there's a certain amount is given. And when you give, you get back. And I mean, getting back can just be, I mean, that's why I do these shows. I get back the opportunity to hear your story, but not just for me, but for the audience as well. And that is the reward that I want. And I'm sure others do. That's why they tune in. And that's why we have people on the show. But anyway, so let's kind of wrap this up now, or we could be talking all day. So I absolutely love what you do. So tell us about the kind of your typical clients. I mean, you said they're women, and in a particular industry sector or typical age, or tell us a bit more about who your ideal clients are.
My ideal clients are between 30 and 50. They're highly educated medical doctors in management positions or achieving management positions, and they or entrepreneurs or freelancers, and they realize they get stuck. They have stuck in either in moving up, or get stuck in their private lives with fears, with wrong relationships, or get panic attacks with what the future brings to them, or have some health issues. And then they realize they go to psychiatrists, they see coaches, and then they end up finally with me. I mean, it has to be, obviously. And then we look at it. I yesterday had someone, whatever she achieved was taken away. You know, she had achieved a certain level, let's say, of income, and then it was taken away. Or she would want to travel, and then it was impossible, or whatever. Love was the wrong, everything sort of, a certain level you're allowed, but you're not allowed to get a bit further, and not even to be successful. So we looked at it, and then we spoke at length before I did the session with her, and then we realized what happened in her childhood, and why actually the subconscious stopped her from doing even more than what she wanted to achieve. And that is gone now, you know. Or I had a medical doctor, a student, a friend of my son, which I usually don't take, but she is such a beautiful, highly educated woman, but she was working her ass off at the university hospital in Zurich. She nearly had a breakdown. She nearly had a burnout. She couldn't eat anymore. She was in the wrong relationship. So my son said, could you just please help her? I said, yeah, let's figure out, but she has to want it and she has to come. So she came for one session. Then we figured that out, so she could speak up in the company, say no, set healthy boundaries, and not feel guilty by doing so, which then led to another one, which usually it's 2 to 3 visits. And the other one was, we got her out of this relationship. Guess what my son yesterday said? And she's 36. He said, Mom, that's a completely different person. Because she speaks, she says no, you can hear what she wants to say. She's happier than ever. She moved out, she has a new apartment. I can't relate to the one before. And that's what I am about. And these are my clients, you know. You see them in the streets, you see them in the corporate world, you see them as entrepreneurs, as journalists. They all seem to be very successful, but actually there is always something holding them back, or they're not loved, or whatever it is. And then once this is understood and clear, then they can live the life they are meant to live.
I completely agree, and I love that. And I mean, I think there's more and more people like that, particularly over the last 2 years. I mean, they felt the pressures, they felt extra strain, either with work, with bosses, with colleagues, with family. And it's hard to kind of deal with things, particularly if you think differently to them. And then it is trying to also be around like-minded people. But so your programs are pretty much one-to-one, or you can do it in a group program, or is over a certain amount of weeks, or is it online or face-to-face?
I do face-to-face, and I start now to do a group of 10, a group program of 10 with the coaching program. And when it comes to rapid transformational therapy, then I do one-to-one, because it's not that I want, you see, the best is if you have RT&T to find out what your subconscious has, what belief they have created to hold you back with whatever. We can't get with the head to it. I want to have this quality given to the client, because that's where the change really happens. And this is one-to-one. The coaching is I can do easily with 10, because that's still the quality I want to have and give. And then each one has a phone call once a week with me, one-to-one, because I want to know. And when I hear the voice and I hear what they are saying, I can figure out what is going on, because I'm blessed with this quality of being highly sensitive. And then I can also give them, that's the main thing I do. So one-to-one or with a group of 10, because I have spent so much money on courses where I felt afterwards, wow, was that now about the money only? And I'm out of this.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to have the same. And that's not my personality. I want to give quality and change.
Yeah. I hear where you're coming from, because I went through something similar in the way that when I first went into kind of coaching, then I thought, well, what do you need to be a coach or an entrepreneur? So I was kind of looking out for these entrepreneur programs, kind of snake charmers that kind of reel you in and part with a ton of money to put you in a program for X amount of years or months or whatever it may be, and then give you all this spiel about all the different things you need to do. And if you don't do them and you don't do your homework, then whatever. And yeah, I did that, and I never felt that, well, I didn't really want to do half of that, and a lot of it didn't resonate with me. I met some great people on that journey, but I felt that a lot of it was good to do because it helped me find myself at the end of it. And I couldn't have found it with them. I had to find it from looking at what they do feeling that wasn't right, and in finding out, well, what did I really want to do? And I think, I mean, exactly what you've said, you can spend a ton of money and go on many kind of entrepreneurial coaching courses. I'm not saying that you're not going to learn something, but at the end of the day, you need to package things up and pull the information from all the different sources that you've got and blend it into what is you and how you want to deliver that. I mean, as you said, like when you start with an initial consultation call, I mean, you don't know what program you're going to put someone on until you've actually spoken to them. It's a bit like the doctor-patient analogy, right? You can go to the doctor and say, well, I can't give you a course of treatment until I've spoken to you. And that's kind of the unique thing at the beginning, is finding that. It could just be one call and they're happy and they have a beautiful life. It could be something that you work on for months, if not years, with someone. So everybody is different. Is that what you're seeing as well when you're working with people?
Yes, because, you know, I see competition for me is not something I'm worried about, because I think your tribe comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to work hard for it. But I always tell everybody I only do one session. I'm not selling like 3 sessions at a special price or a package or whatsoever, because as you say, sometimes you're done with one session. I could not be happier. I mean, really? Because I am the facilitator. Yes, we do the work together, but it's the person, as you say, the own progress, which is different to each and every one. And the willingness to do it as well, and the perseverance to do it, and to ask me again for help if there is something. And that's what I'm about. I'm not going to tell you if I have a call and they talk to me. First, I want to figure out if the client is a match for me, which is selfish, but it's my time too. I rather go to the lake and walk at the lake than spend time with the wrong person. And secondly, I tell them we start with one, and then you have at least 60 days to figure out what changes you make, how you do it. And the best is you start a diary, you know, if there are triggering points that you see when you communicate with people, whatever it is. And once you have this, I'm not gone. You just give me a text or an email, or you call me, and then we figure out what is the next step. Because I think that's how I have started my journey, and that's how I have evolved. Of course, with spending a lot of money on the wrong things. And as you said, I picked what I had to pick, and then I thought, I'm never going to do it like this.
No, exactly. I couldn't agree more, because everybody is unique and everybody carries their own challenges. And you cannot put them on a pre-built program. Well, you could, but it's kind of force them through something you don't know if they need that.
Yeah.
Right. So having that first call with them, then you can pretty much decide, actually, do I actually want to work with them because they're too problematic? Right? If I do want to work with them, maybe they just need some tips and tricks and some guidance, and then they're happy with that and they'll thank you for that. And maybe they're not going to be a client, but you've helped them nevertheless. Yeah. And then there's going to be others that will think, right, I'm really stuck here. And I'm feeling, I mean, people really go, particularly in Switzerland, from anxiety to stress to burnout to suicide. Yeah. And it's kind of that order. And you want to pretty much stop them before they get to the burnout. But I mean, in a lot of cases, they become suicidal. And in Switzerland, I mean, it's pretty high on that ranking globally. But mental health problems are a huge problem. So even though, Bojan, you need to disappear.
Yeah, also Laszlo, I think we are...
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. It was a long sentence, but it was a great session. But yeah, sorry again. But
yeah, so we're just wrapping up. So did you have any questions or anything just before you go?
Isabella, your smile reminds me of an actress called Cameron Diaz.
Thank you.
I did a little comment in the support group. So for people who joined this session, so it was Laszlo, you, Isabel, James, and Pete. So I would like to give a little gift. So I will gladly share 2 hours of my time, help you with website, with business, or something to help you to move ahead. So this is
Thank you, 𝗬𝗢𝗦𝗧. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
because I think when you give up, one of the things that is most difficult is to give your time. This is
Perfect.
so. This is what I want to give to everyone.
Thank you, 𝗬𝗢𝗦𝗧. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay,
Bye.
thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Right. So let's kind of just wrap this up between us. I mean, I'll give you the recording so you can go with this and use whatever you want from it as well. So once we're done. So yeah, I mean, typically we don't go on this long and it's kind of more questions from the audience, but I mean, nevertheless, it's been a fantastic story that you've shared. It's been very inspirational as well as, I mean, everything is about giving people some hope. And I mean, as you say, that from a first session, it's really to encourage people to have that first session, because you don't know where they are on their journey and they don't know what you've really got to offer. And maybe you've got something to offer that you don't actually put on your website, that'll come to you, and either a flashback from something your grandma said or whatever that you can help someone with. So it doesn't mean that all the answers are going to be on your website. It is about having that initial conversation with someone and then figuring out from there, can you actually help them? If you can help them, then you probably have a ton of different ways in which to do that. And something that I think is a mutual agreement. You decide how you're going to do that. I mean, the delivery of that is it going to be on a telephone call? Is it going to be on a Zoom call? Is it going to be in person? Or is it going to be a combination of all of these? Do they want to be involved in a group because they feel they don't want to be alone and other people feeling the same? So yeah, I love what you do. And yeah, definitely all the links to your website and everything, how can we find those out? Can you share those? And what's the best way to connect with you?
I can send you the links, of course, to the website. It's www.𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥, or you just type in my name, because I'm transparent with everything that happened in my life, but I send you everything.
Yeah, if you send me the links, and then yeah, I will send you, once the recording's downloaded, I'll send you the links to it. It'll be on YouTube, and then you can share the links with friends, family, or whoever you wish to share it with. I think it's always fascinating. If I want to work with any person or coach, whatever, I want to know kind of the backstory. I want to know who they are, because in the absence of not knowing, then it becomes quite a challenge to feel that person resonates with me, and that actually, I mean, you mentioned authenticity. If I don't see that authenticity, then I'm not going to trust them. And then what's the point of working with them? And by having you on the show, I can see that from what you've said, the stories that you shared with us, and the programs that you do. And I would definitely encourage people to come and at least try you out if they're feeling kind of lost, disillusioned, fed up, and want someone to talk to.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. It was really amazing. And I'm very happy I said yes, because usually when somebody writes me on LinkedIn, I ask about 5 questions.
Yeah. So kind of my testimonials also, I mean, you can go back and look at the reviews that my guests have given, because they're honest reviews, and if they didn't want to be on the show, then they wouldn't, and they would have kind of left early. And you know, the fact that you're still on, and there's still tons of things that we could talk about. It's kind of we've run out of time, and we don't want to make things too long because people's retention span isn't so long.
No, it's not so long anymore.
But I mean, you've been a fantastic guest. As I said, our 88th guest, so wonderful. And
thank you so very much.
Just saying 88 it reminds me, we play bingo with our kids, right?
Yeah.
Because our youngest are twins, a boy and a girl, and they're 6. All right, so they're learning the numbers and everything. So we play bingo. But I used to play when I was in England. So you always had names for things like 22. You'd say 22. You'd say 2 little ducks, 22.
Yeah.
Right, and things like that. 2 fat ladies, 88. Right. I'm not saying you're fat, but I mean that's how you'd remember kind of some numbers.
Of course, that's how you learn them.
Yeah. So we use numbers there to help the kids learn kind of the numbers playing bingo. But it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, my grandchildren, the eldest is 6, the other one turned 4, and the youngest is, wait a minute, 7 or 8 months.
So how many grandchildren have you got?
3.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So all with one family? I mean,
my son, he was an assistant doctor, and he told me, Mom, I'm not going to marry until I have reached A, B, C, D. And then he introduced his girlfriend. She was working at the same clinic. And then in summer, there was a phone call, and he said, Mom, I have to tell you something. I said, yeah, what is it? I said, oh, my girlfriend, she's pregnant. And I was laughing. I was really laughing. I said, oh, she's pregnant. Oh, that's nice. And then they got married. And then one after the other came. So number 3 was a surprise. And I said, each life that comes, who wants to come, let them come. And he's such a sweet boy. They're all.
Yeah, I mean, what I found helps with kids is doing bedtime storytelling.
Yeah.
And I mean, we start storytelling. I mean, I was just reading books to them, like Mr. Men books. But then one day, my eldest son at the time, he asked me, he said, Daddy, I'm fed up with Mr. Men books. I want my own stories, my own adventures. So then we leveraged on his imagination, creativity, and then we created his bedtime stories. And then, so we have like 400 recordings now, all audio recorded. But then we created our first book.
Oh, going to the moon. Wow.
Right? And then it's all about his stories going to the moon and everything.
Oh, that's amazing.
But so I actually teach the parents the art of interactive bedtime storytelling.
That's beautiful.
But if you want this book, I'm just plugging my book now, right?
Yeah, promote books.
I could send you the link. And if you want to be in our book club, book program, so I'm looking for 12 previous guests. So we have 8 at the moment. So we've only kind of just started this. So very early, as you heard from Pete, he's just written his first manuscript or chapter part. 10 pages, I've got to read. But we all read and give feedback because we want the flow to be consistent. And basically what you shared kind of fits in with kind of what we want to do. Everything's about inspiring people. Now, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur, you're a startup, you're a business owner, you're a student or whatever, or you've been anywhere in your life that you feel you could do with a little bit of support. And it's not just about reading the books about the get rich quick schemes and the rich serial entrepreneurs. It is about a collection of 12 different people and 12 different journeys. And it's magical because what you shared and is something unique to the others, but what they shared is also unique. So you blend them all together, and anybody reading this book would be inspired that I'm not just reading one person's, I'm reading a collection. So that kind of, if you're interested, I can send you details on that as well.
Yeah, send me the details, please.
All right. But anyway, so I won't keep you any longer. And I'm just curious about what you're wearing here. Is that just a clip for the dress, or is it
It's
something?
not dress.
Sorry?
It's on the dress. It's a brooch on the dress.
Ah, right. Okay. If you did that, the dress would fall off if you undone it.
No.
No, I just thought it was something like
No,
significant.
it's just, you know, like the Queen. Remember the Queen of England? She always had somewhere.
Yeah. No, I thought
No,
it
it
was.
was just the dress. I thought that was nice because it's a simple dress and it was blue and it was for the wedding ceremony for my son because she was pregnant already then, you know.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, it's just.
All right. Okay. And I don't know if we mentioned on the show where we're recording about the flowers, but I mean the flowers are significant because they're how old? 15 years old?
Yeah.
15 years old.
Really, honestly, it is.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And they've listened to the show. So
They listen to the show.
is that
they
speech
listen to-
therapy now that you've given to them? So they're happy with that.
Yes, they had enough talk now.
Okay. Okay. So thank you once again for being a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, I wish you a wonderful warm weekend. I guess it's going to be
Yeah,
warm
it's
this weekend.
Really
Yeah,
warm.
hot, very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son's playing football all weekend. He's got 2 tournaments.
Oh,
My eldest son. Yeah, so that'll be me
you know what
sunbathing.
Daddy has to do.
Yeah, it's a busy weekend this weekend. Well, for kids' activities, but then that's fun anyway.
It's fun, yes, because that's what the time which you don't spend with your kids is lost, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we try to capture the moments and either in video or in audio. The audio recording for the bedtime is magical.
That's amazing. Yes.
I mean, that is some memorabilia that they can listen to in 10 years' time and laugh.
Sure. Yes, and give it to the grandchildren.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So
Good then. Thank you so very much.
yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, if you're ever in Bern, then let me know. We can meet up, and if I'm, I guess, in Zurich, likewise.
Yeah, it's only an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, then thank you once again for being a great
Thank you.
guest.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, where is that?